everybody coming, and I encourage you to come to as many as possible, okay? I also encourage you at the end of this presentation to ask good questions, okay? Really help the presenter open up their topic. One of the things that I think is most special about Carol Morgan School is that as people near graduation, we give them the floor, okay? We give our students the floor for 20 minutes and let them teach us about something they've learned, something that they feel passionate about. I appreciate the ways in which the student body honors that process by attending and paying attention, and I appreciate the staff members who come and do the same, okay? So without further ado, I would like to introduce CJ Flax. Thank you.
Thank you, Jess. So when choosing a topic for my research, I constantly ask myself, what is truly important? There are several current events that can be fixed to make our society better, yes. But what about peer survival? What is the one thing that humans must do in order to prevent absolute extinction? What is the biggest issue that humanity will ever face? The answer lies in leaving our planet, and after that, leaving our solar system. Many of us will not be alive when this needs to be done. But when do we begin to prepare? Hello, my name is Carlos Planes, and my research was on interstellar travel. The topic of my research is, will humans ever live under the heat of another sun? The possibilities and limitations of interstellar travel. So first I have a question. How many of you have seen the movie Interstellar? And does anybody know the name of the kind of portal that they went through in order to reach the other galaxy? Yes.
Black hole.
Kind of. It was he falls into a black hole at the end, but they use a wormhole. And my point is that it's not that easy. Wormholes are not something that we can control right now. I have another question. If there was a grain of salt on my hand, how far, do you think the nearest star would be if the sun was the size of a grain of salt? Does anybody want to say a distance? 1. And that's a little too far. But it is pretty far. I mean, if there was a grain of salt in my hand that was the sun, the nearest star would be 13 kilometers away. So I just want to, I'm going to make that point again in the video, but I just want to let you know what we're dealing with here. There's distances that are very large. So I've chosen to do a video for my presentation. This way I will be able to better convey some comparisons and analogies that will make the topic easier to understand. So try your best to understand and stay on track with the video in order to ask any questions that you might have. Enjoy.
Everyone looks at the stars of the night sky and awe. If you don't, you are pretty weird. These objects, whose bright lights travel billions of miles, are very enjoyable to watch because they sparkle in silence through the long nights. Stars are incredible, and it's safe to say that most people when they see stars just stare in appreciation. Spoiler alert, humans might need to live by one someday.
We all know that humans need resources in order to survive. Just like this chair, it's wood. And eventually we are going to run out of resources. And when we run out of resources, we eventually are also going to run out of planets in our solar system to look for those resources. The good news is that on average, every single star out there has a planet. So that means that when you're laying down at night looking at a star, you might be looking at a planet too. The thing is, these stars are extremely far away. The nearest star from our planet is 4.4 light years away. If you do not know what that means, just put it into perspective. If this baseball was our sun, the nearest star would be way over there in West Palm Beach, Florida.
So it's really a huge issue to go that far. I mean, we could go that far, but we're talking about the distance to the nearest star. It would just take about 70,000 years to arrive there. This is going at a speed of 17.3 kilometers per second. And this is the speed of the Voyager 1, a satellite that is beyond of you might be wondering, do we have the technology to go even faster? Professionals have already thought of most possible propulsion systems, including antimatter as fuel. What you need to know about antimatter is that it is basically matter's equal twin. There is not much of it that we can harness, and it is something that we need to create in labs here in order to use. Some scientists have successfully created antimatter. However, in incredibly tiny quantities, if we want to make a gram of antimatter, it will cost $62.5 trillion. Just so you understand how much money that is, it is enough money to buy Apple Incorporated 90 times. Cole Miller agrees when he says, the highest efficiency engine possible would involve matter-antimatter reactions, since these would convert all the reactants into energy and provide the highest achievable thrust.
So let's say that we can build a ship like this one that can reach the near star in about 1,000 years. Obviously, no one generation of humans could complete that trip. So unless we find a way to sustain more than one generation of humans in a long travel, maybe these travels would be possible. So now that you know all of the problems concerned with achieving stellar travel, you know how hard it is. Let's see what we can do today in order to make it possible in the near future. So you will know that if you're in space, any little push will move everything really far. Because there's no friction, there's no gravity to pull anything down, and there's no air to slow anything down. This is the principle behind the ion engines. The way these engines work is, these are little gases swimming in the ocean, and they're like in the primary electron and they have a on fire and they get lost. So hold on, pieces of the electron chamber, but I try to accelerate it, just ions and couple out of the engine, creating thrust. If you didn't get that, that's fine. The point is that these engines slowly accelerate over time by creating very little thrust, but running for a very long time and being extremely efficient. So with these engines, it is thought that we can reach speeds of 90 kilometers per second, which basically makes our travels 5.2 times faster. And we're looking at about 10,000 years for the time that it will take to get to the nearest star. It is still a very long time, but as technology improves, we will see this time reduce.
Let's revisit the idea of people actually going to the star by boarding a ship. There is an idea called the generational ship. As Paul Lucas proposes, a generation ship is the most straightforward means of dealing with century-long journeys from one star system to the next. The ship is a miniature self-sustaining world in and of itself, and the crew of the ship live out their natural lives on board, working, playing, building, breeding, etc. There is also the possibility of something called a sea ship. There have been countless studies about finding ways to send life in the form of sea. In theory, robots would take care of these eggs, and these would then hatch when the ship carrying them arrives to the destination.
In conclusion, there are two things that I talked about in this presentation. First, I talked about the problems of interstellar travel, which are extreme distances, sustaining life through very long travels, and a lack of propulsion technologies. And the solutions that I propose are preparing for travels of extremely long distances, the implementation of ion engines, and the creation of sea ships or generation ships. All of this for the purpose of losing the dependency of planet Earth in order to leave planet Earth and survive as a species. As you might have learned, reaching the stars is not something that is impossible. It just requires a lot of time and resources. My point is that it is possible, and it will be much easier to do in the future. Humans have reached so much power and so much intelligence. Living on Earth is only a fraction of the possibilities that humans will achieve in the future. Maybe even colonizing our solar system is only a fraction of the possibilities that we will achieve in the future. We are destined to go beyond our solar system. We are destined to go beyond the stars. Interstellar travel is clearly something that we must invest on. And maybe it seems like something that is going to be too far in the future, but the question is, where do we begin? And to answer the question, will we ever live under the heat of another star? The answer is, we have to. Thank you. Okay. I will be taking questions now. If anybody has any questions about anything. And then,
At the end, you pose the question again, when we cover the other star, and you said we have to. But I want like more explanation of that. Why do you think we'll have to?
Stephen Hawking says that if we want to survive as a species, we need to leave planet Earth at least. It's just too likely that there's going to be some kind of war, some kind of disease that is human created, some kind of over-exploitation of resources that cause us to leave. And my research isn't just on leading to going to Mars, it's going further than that, because right now I read in my research that even if we do live on Mars, we can only use that planet for about 1,000 years, which is not a long time. And unless we don't prepare to keep colonizing planets in our solar system, we do need to prepare to look for planets similar to planet Earth, which are a lot further away than 4.4 light years away, in order to survive as a species.
One of the things you propose is to once people are on the trip to go find another Earth, is that they spend 10,000 years on a ship. How would they survive 10,000 years on a ship? And if they figure out a way to survive 10,000 years on a ship, can't they figure out a way to, I don't know, live here on Earth, sheep or something?
I used that example when I said that, assuming that we could reach the nearest star in 1,000 years. I don't think the generational ship would be very practical in order to make a 10,000 year trip. I mean, there would be all kinds of hazards like radiation, mental health, and so many other things that will make that trip very hard to achieve. I'm proposing the idea if travels are a little bit easier than 10,000 years. But yeah, most of the solutions are things that, I'm not saying that we should make a generational shift. I'm saying that we should research and invest in interstellar travel. And governments should start working on this in order for us to be able to make generational shifts in the future.
So is this funding to come from governments? Do you think that the government here should start a space program?
I think that maybe not Dominican Republic, it wouldn't be very wise allocation of resources, but there are a lot more countries that could be investing more into space travel. And the United States and Russia have always been the leaders in that. And there's already some international efforts, like the International Space Station, into space research in general. But right now, I think most of the people that want to go to Mars are people from the United States, and that's it. I feel like if more world powers would invest, yes, using government funds, if they would invest into, I guess, research in making breakthroughs and understanding how we can go so far, it would be a lot more successful.
So the government uses taxpayer money to fund things like that. And it sounds to me like you're saying that you think it should be public funds rather than private funds that fund this. But what about investors like Elon Musk, who has made big waves in Texas with his space ladder and things like that? Do you think that the public funding is the answer, or is private sector funding?
Yeah, I did actually overlook that, but I think Elon Musk actually received $1.6 billion from NASA to do what he's doing. But yeah, that is true. There are a lot of private companies. I think 3 major ones, including SpaceX from Elon Musk, that are doing a lot of work in space research. And yeah, that is true. There are a lot of private researchers going on, but it's such a new thing. And I feel like a lot of governments don't even properly allocate the resources to begin with.
And so that doesn't necessarily mean that taxpayers have to pay for the resources. I think there can be some allocation going on in order to invest in space travel. And so I don't think there would be a need with what I'm proposing to raise taxes. Yes.
Question. You say reaching a star. What you mean by reaching the planet associated with that star? We don't want to go to the star.
Yeah. Fine.
Yeah, so we can colonize planets and other solar systems. How do you think the politics of that should be? Should like countries here like have a planet, or should they be completely separate from scratch? How do you think that should be?
That is very interesting. I think that when we reach that problem, when humanity reaches that time of distress, I think all the politics, like people will see what's truly important, what is actual survival, and people will stop caring about politics, and people are basically just going to want to survive. But yeah, that is very interesting. It is very interesting because the United States is probably going to be one of the first people to go to Mars, for example. And I'm not sure how it would go if, for example, Russians want to send some people there too. But using the ISS, the International Space Station, as an example, I think it is very possible to have, for lack of a better word, like harmony in these travels.
So I will last question. From your research, have you been able to make a difference between warm hole and black holes?
Do I know how to make the difference between warm and black holes?
Yeah, warm hole and black hole.
I'm not sure. During my research, I just went across neutron stars, like the process of how stars collapse and how the mystery of black holes. But I'm not sure what it means when it is warm or cold.
Do you know, Eric?
No, I don't.
Does anybody know the difference between a wormhole and a black hole?
Oh, yeah, I absolutely know the difference.
Okay.
The black hole is when a star loses energy, and you know how energy, like temperatures make things expand. When the star loses temperature, it has so much mass that the gravity starts collapsing and stuff. And there is a point where even the atoms can't hold each other away, and these collapse into each other into an infinitely small point. And that's a black hole. A wormhole is a theory, and it is kind of like, to say that if this would be the fabric of space and time, and you would have to make a hole here, and in a way that hole will be able to fold space and time, and it will be able to go through like that, meaning that you will be able to enter one spot and exit another in a lot shorter time. And if we could harness the way of doing wormholes, we could basically go on in the universe.
So if we 3-hole punched that paper and then folded it over so the 2 holes touch, that would be how a wormhole works.
Yes. Yes, it would. Yes.
What are we looking at in terms of required technological advances to get us to be talking about this? What is our greatest technological hurdle you see that holds us back from tripling this?
Energy. Because there are 3 types of civilizations. Currently, we are a type 0 civilization, meaning that we only harness energy from dead planets. That is what we do. As we progress as a civilization, we will later harness the energy of our entire planet, and later harness the energy of our entire star. And a type 3 civilization, which is insane, harnesses the energy of its entire galaxy. In order to make a wormhole, for example, we need so much energy that we need to know how to harness the energy of the star. And I think that when we do that, when we have so much energy that we can manipulate into thrust, into wormholes, into like manipulating the fabric of space and time, then space travel would be a lot more practical.
And at least for me, the concept of time is like really awkward. What you're talking about, when you say, oh, it's 10,000 years. When you say it's 10,000 years, I don't really think that most people here understand what 10,000 years is. Most of us are going to live for like 100 years. So how do you expect us to like give so much importance about something that is so far away from us?
Yeah, I'm just saying that currently, what we have right now is 70,000 years. And I just wanted to give an example by the IM engines of how 70,000 suddenly became 10,000 years. And by making even more breakthroughs in technology, we can make 10,000 years, I don't know, maybe 1,000 years. If we find a way to go half of the speed of light, which is very fast, but if we find a way to do that, the nearest star would be at 2 years, which is very, very close. And there are planets that are similar to Earth that are 40 light years away. And if we find a way to go half of the speed of light, 20 years is something really practical.
Great job.
Thank you.